All right, so today we're tackling something I'm sure a lot of you are interested in, fat loss. And we've got a great resource to guide us.
Yeah.
Everything you want to know about fat loss. It's a guide by Chris Aceto.
It is.
And our mission is to, really pull out the best stuff, the actionable stuff, the stuff that makes you go, uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it without,
Right.
Making it too complicated.
Exact.
So think of it as like an express lane to understanding the core principles
I love that.
of shedding fat effectively.
Yeah.
And it's all based on a practical,
Yes.
science-backed approach. So
This guide is really comprehensive. I mean, it covers, everything from the basics of calories to how to manipulate your macros, how our bodies adapt to dietary changes, some smart ways to incorporate exercise.
Right.
And what I think is so valuable about this guide is it's informed by someone who's been in the trenches, right? It's got that practical, grounded feel to it.
Yeah, definitely. So let's start with what the guide really presents as the absolute foundation, which is this idea of calorie balance.
Right.
It mentions that classic idea that a deficit of around 3,500 calories typically leads to about a pound of fat loss.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Energy balance, it's like the cornerstone.
Yeah.
If you're consistently taking in fewer calories than you burn, your body is going to have to turn to its reserves, primarily fat, to make up the difference.
So it's not just about like drastically slashing calories.
No. What's really interesting here is what happens when you go too extreme.
Yeah.
With the calorie deficit.
Yeah.
So while a deficit is essential, if you go too low, your body can actually start breaking down muscle tissue.
Really?
For energy, yeah.
Wow.
And that's not what we want.
No, because muscle helps you burn more calories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not only that, your metabolism can actually slow down as a protective mechanism.
Oh, so it's like working against you.
Yeah, it's like your body senses the scarcity of food and it's like, okay, I gotta conserve energy.
It's trying to hold on.
It's trying to hold
to
on.
those fat stores.
Exactly.
Wow. So the takeaway here is really a more measured approach.
Yes.
Right.
A moderate, sustainable calorie deficit.
Right.
One that allows you to lose fat without sacrificing muscle or crashing your metabolism.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the building blocks of our diets. Macronutrients.
Yes.
Protein consistently gets a lot of attention, especially when it comes to fat loss.
For good reason.
And this guide seems to echo that.
Absolutely.
Why is protein so vital in this context?
Well, protein plays a crucial role, especially when you're in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
Its primary function is to help preserve your lean body mass.
So your muscles.
Your muscles, exactly.
Right.
When you're cutting calories, your body could break down both fat and muscle to meet its energy needs. But when you eat enough protein, you send a signal to your body to spare that muscle tissue.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we need this muscle, so let's hang on to it.
It's like protecting it.
Exactly.
Right.
And the guide recommends aiming for around 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of lean body mass.
Okay.
If you're actively dieting, which can seem like a lot for some people.
Right.
But it's really important.
Okay, so we need to bump up that protein.
It's a key player.
Okay, what about carbohydrates?
Yeah.
They often get kind of a bad rap when people are trying to lose fat.
I know, right?
What's the perspective offered in this guide?
This guide actually offers a more nuanced view of carbohydrates.
Right.
It recognizes that they're important, especially as an energy source.
Right.
Especially for fueling workouts and replenishing muscle glycogen.
And muscle glycogen is?
Yeah, muscle glycogen is basically the stored form of carbs in your muscles.
Okay.
And it's your primary fuel source when you're working out hard.
Gotcha.
The key here, according to the guide, is strategic timing.
Okay.
So adjusting your carb intake based on your activity levels.
So like more carbs on days I'm working out, fewer on rest days.
Exactly. For example, if you have carbs around your workout, that can be really beneficial for performance and recovery.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The guide also notes that some people do really well with a lower carb approach for fat loss.
Okay, so it's not a one-size-fits-all.
It's not. It really depends on the individual and how their body responds.
Okay, so thinking about your own activity levels, you might want to consider how you're timing those carbs.
Absolutely.
Okay, what about fats? Are they just something to minimize as much as possible? when you're trying to lose weight?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
Fats are important too.
Okay.
The guide really highlights this,
Okay.
especially when it comes to things like hormonal balance and feeling full after you eat, which is really helpful.
Especially when you're cutting calories.
Exactly.
You don't want to be hungry all the time.
Right. And fats play a role in vitamin absorption as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so you don't want to cut them out completely.
So not all fats are bad.
Exactly. It's about choosing healthy fats.
Okay, so we've covered the macronutrients.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about our internal engine, metabolism.
Our metabolism.
Yeah, we touched on it briefly with extreme dieting, but the guide also discusses metabolic adaptation during a diet. So what exactly is going on with our bodies there?
So basically what happens is when you restrict calories for a prolonged period, your metabolism, which is the rate at which you burn calories at rest, can actually become more efficient.
What does that mean?
It means it starts burning fewer calories for the same level of activity.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a natural survival mechanism.
Really?
Yeah, your body's like, hey, food is scarce, let's conserve energy.
It's trying to, like, adapt to the situation.
Exactly.
So are there ways to, like, prevent our metabolism from slowing down too much?
There are. The guide outlines some strategies.
Okay, tell me more.
Yeah. So first and foremost, maintaining muscle mass through adequate protein.
We talked about that.
Exactly. And strength training is absolutely key.
Okay.
Muscle tissue burns more calories at rest than fat tissue.
Right.
So preserving it helps keep your metabolism higher.
Okay, that makes sense.
And like we talked about earlier, avoiding those overly restrictive diets can help prevent that significant slowdown.
Gotcha.
The guide might also discuss the potential benefits of occasional diet breaks or refeeds.
Refeeds. That sounds interesting for those who might not be familiar.
Yeah.
What exactly are they?
So refeeds involve strategically increasing your calories.
Okay.
For a short period, usually 1 or 2 days.
Okay.
And most of those extra calories come from carbs.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. The idea is that this can give your metabolism a little boost.
Like a jump start.
Yeah, a jump start.
Okay.
It also helps replenish those muscle glycogen stores we talked about. And it can even help you stick to your diet better.
Because you get a break.
Exactly. It's a planned break.
Okay, I like that.
It's like giving your body a signal that, hey, we're not in famine mode anymore.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
And talk about meal frequency and timing.
Right.
Does it really matter when and how often we eat when we're trying to lose fat?
So the guide touches on this.
Okay.
And it basically says that while your total daily calories are what matters most, meal frequency can play a supporting role for some people.
Okay.
Eating more frequently might help some people feel fuller and keep their blood sugar stable, which can reduce cravings.
Right.
But it's not a hard and fast rule.
Okay.
What works best can vary from person to person.
So some people might do better with 3 meals a day.
Right.
Others might need to snack more.
Exactly. It's about finding what works for you.
Okay. And what about nutrient timing?
Yeah.
This idea of consuming specific nutrients. It's like protein and carbs around your workouts. Can you explain that again?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So nutrient timing, specifically around your workouts, is called the peri-workout window.
Okay.
Which is the time before, during, and after exercise.
Okay.
The guide explains that having carbs and protein during this time can really help with muscle recovery and glycogen replenishment.
Oh, so it's like giving your muscles the fuel they need.
Exactly. You're fueling those muscles.
Right, when they need it.
Right, when they need it.
Okay, so fueling your workout strategically can enhance your recovery.
It can make a big difference.
Okay, now let's talk about something that's often overlooked.
Okay.
Hydration and micronutrients.
Yes.
What does the guide say about their role in fat loss?
So we all know that water is essential.
Right. We got to stay hydrated.
We got to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
And the guide points out that it can also play a role in fat loss.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, for one, it can help you feel fuller. And it's also crucial for all those metabolic processes happening in your body.
Right. It keeps things running smoothly.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then there's micronutrients, those vitamins and minerals.
Yep.
They're super important for supporting your metabolism and overall well-being, especially when you're dieting.
Right.
The guide may not give specific recommendations for every single vitamin and mineral, but the key takeaway is to make sure you're getting a balanced intake.
Through real food.
Through whole unprocessed foods.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you need those building blocks.
Absolutely. You can't expect your body to perform at its best if it's not getting what it needs.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get into the physical activity side of things.
Yeah, let's do it.
how does the guide discuss the roles of cardio and resistance training?
Okay, so the guide really emphasizes the power of combining both cardio and resistance training.
For fat loss.
Yes, for the most effective fat loss and body composition changes.
Good.
Cardio is great for burning calories, which contributes to that calorie deficit.
Right.
But resistance training, that's crucial for preserving and building muscle.
Right, which we've talked about. Is so important.
Yes.
Okay, so for anyone out there who's thinking, I'm just going to do tons of cardio.
Yeah.
It sounds like they need to add in some resistance training.
They do.
Okay.
It's not just about the number on the scale.
Right.
It's about building a strong, healthy body.
Okay, so finally, let's talk about the practical side.
Okay.
What kind of specific food choices and strategies does the guide recommend?
Well, the guide is a big advocate for whole, unprocessed foods.
Okay.
They're more nutrient-dense.
Right.
And they tend to keep you feeling full longer
than processed foods.
Than those highly processed options.
Gotcha.
And for managing hunger and cravings, the guide suggests focusing on protein and fiber.
Okay.
Those are your friends.
They keep you full.
They keep you full and satisfied.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It also touches on mindful eating.
Right. Really paying attention to what you're eating.
Right, and how much.
Exactly. And maybe even tracking your food intake.
To stay accountable.
Yes, to stay aware.
Okay.
It might mention supplements briefly.
Okay.
But the real focus is on building those healthy eating habits.
Right, the foundation.
The foundation.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
You should have a really solid understanding now of the key fat loss principles from Chris Aceto's guide.
I think so.
We talked about calorie balance, protein, carbs, fats,
all macros,
metabolic adaptation, and the benefits of combining cardio and resistance training.
It's a holistic approach.
It is.
And what really stands out to me is this idea that not all calorie deficits are created equal.
Right.
It's not just about cutting calories blindly. It's about what those calories are made of.
The quality of the calories.
The quality, exactly. And your activity levels. These things have a huge impact on whether you lose fat or muscle. That's such a good point.
It's about nourishing your body while you're creating that deficit.
So it's not about deprivation.
It's not about deprivation.
It's about making smart choices.
Exactly.
Okay. So for our listeners, where might they go from here with this information?
Well, this deep dive has given them a really strong foundation.
Right.
They might want to explore those specific recommendations for carb timing around their workouts.
Right.
You know, based on their own training schedule and intensity.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're interested in learning more about metabolic adaptation and whether refeeds could be helpful for them. These are areas where they can do some more research. And most importantly, pay attention to how their own body responds.
Right.
Always guided by these core principles.
Yeah.
That's how they'll find the most effective and personalized approach to their fat loss journey.
I love that. That's such a good takeaway. Really paying attention to your own body and how it responds.
It's the best guide you have.
It is.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure.
I always learn so much from you.
Likewise.
And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
On the deep dive.